court from another community, put an opening next to the newest bocce ball court, have some brick pavers there, and 1 or 2 tables that you can use that as a waiting area.
I just don't see putting down pavers and doing all that when you've got enough things for lace and everything else to deal with. $50,000 for pavers seems an awful lot of money.
It's an estimate, as you said, budgeting now for something that far in the future is quite difficult to do. But this has been on the wish list for some time.
Question on the bocce court. We have requested, if possible, to put some fans in there in the summertime and even sometime in December. It gets quite hot when you have 300 people under this place. Is the fans are included in the improvement of the bocce court?
And again, we won't do an improvement until we get the potential builder to give us what their proposal would be. We'll give them some ideas, but there really is no place to hang fans.
From the ceiling.
Okay, so maybe we go for 60,000.
Where
Just kidding.
does he want fans?
No, it's fans under the awning.
Oh.
Yeah, under the awning.
I'm just kidding.
And maybe some light.
Some lights.
Yeah, sometimes we're dead, depending on what light.
Yeah, and this is what you're going to get in a community of 900 homes. You're going to have people who want to really go all out. You want people who want nothing to do with it. But this is an amenity-rich community, and not everybody's going to use the same amenities. And this has been on the wish list and strong desire for quite some time.
Okay, you asked about reserve funding. We're going to get, by the end of 2019, a reserve fund balance of about $468,000. Okay, so we're keeping the budget. It was $260,000 for 2018. We're keeping the number at the same $260,000 for 2019. Okay. And the reason we're doing that, because if you look at it, in 2019, we did a reserve study and said we need to be at $397,000. So we're actually, again, just to remind, we're going to get to a higher number. Why are we doing that? If you look at this chart, the reserve study balance, the balances we need jump quite a bit. Every year it has to go up. It's going up by $77,000 according to the study, and then it levels off right here. Okay? What we tried to do in this budget is level it out over the next 3 years so we're not doing exorbitant increases down the road to get to where we want to be. We're smoothing it out. And we think that's the prudent thing to do, because for a community of this size, with this many assets, to have a reserve balance that's roughly $400,000 is way short of where we need to be. We also have in the budget for this year, and it's done with a certain frequency, $6,000 to update the reserve study. So this will all be updated as well this year. But that's, you know, there's a detailed plan, there's a whole book, there's probably, I don't know, 30 pages, line item by line item, of where we're going to need to spend money over the next 30 years. That's what the reserve study is. Okay, so when I say smoothing it out, it was stagnant here. The blue line is where we're planning the balance to be, and the red line is where it says it has to be. So we're getting a little bit ahead of it, so we don't have this huge acceleration. We're smoothing it out a little bit. Well, we're smoothing it out a lot. So that's the reason we're keeping it at the same $260,000 contribution it was last year. Okay. And what it has in the reserve study to spend in this coming year are these items. It says we're going to spend $192,000. So one of the things, you could put $260,000 in the reserve fund, but you're also taking out a large amount each year. And it's only the net difference that builds that fund. So you can see why you have to keep contributing more. It's not going to be building up where it needs to be. Now, when we look at it, based on when it was done, it says the stucco, the paint, everything, the carpeting, all of this in the beach club needs to be done this year. And some other items. We need to refinish the big pool this year. We did the lap pool last year. And so that's all set to be done. Now, hold off on this discussion. It's going to come under the heading of strategic planning. We're advocating we don't do this And we hopefully won't need to do the gates because we think they're in pretty good shape, but we're not sure. To the extent we don't do this, it just pushes the reserve study requirement 1 year to the right. It's not like you permanently found these funds. They're still going to be needed. It's just a question of, are you working on the right things at the right time? Okay?
Jerry, you got the beach club roof. Is that for 18 or 19?
19.
The roof.
Oh, the roof, we're going to get to the roof separately. That has nothing to do with this, okay? Okay, so given all of that, and everything we showed you is included in the budget, the staffing, the capital plan, etc. What we have now is, here's our proposed budget for 2019 versus where we expect to end up 2018. So the assessments will go up 8.6%. We expect about a 10% increase in food and beverage. Pretty much everything, transfer fees, if we pass that change, which I'm glad to hear most people are in favor of it, that'll go up that much this year. And just some miscellaneous. What we have in this category is the rollover of the 2018 profit. That's why this number is bigger this coming year. That lowers the amount we needed to get from assessments. Then we have our cost of sales. We're keeping that at the same 41% as it was this year. And we end up with a gross profit that's higher by pretty much the amount of the revenue increase. Okay, so I talked about that. And the bottom half of the P&L is the increase we talked about in salaries and benefits. Then it's some miscellaneous ups and downs. The big increases are for contracts. Of this increase, $94,000 is for landscaping, and $45,000 is for the new security contract. And then repairs and maintenance, the big increase is, this is where that capital equipment is, and the strategic planning. And again, we're going to talk about that. So we won't have the benefit of the prior year adjustment. We always budget to break even, and that brings us to really summarize where the big spending is going to be. So absence the one-time adjustment, we project similar performance while building staff, improving the community security, and funding some capital projects. That's the difference between last year and this year. This year and the coming year. Okay? Okay, that's it all on one sheet. Now there are things we haven't baked in, and we're looking for some feedback from you, and I have no doubt we'll get it. But very politely. Okay, one of the things that we were discussing was, and this has come up in the Finance Committee almost every year, we could save money if we switched to pine straw. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because in the last 2 days we heard that this might not even be possible. Is that right, Susan? For reasons unbeknownst to me. It's the new hurricane. Is that where they produce the pine straw in that Panhandle or whatever? But the recent hurricane on the Panhandle caused some problem with the supply of pine straw, and we have actual quotes to do the community both ways, mulch or pine straw, and the difference was $74,000. That may no longer be possible. Because what we're trying to do is try to figure out ways to soften the increase by looking at possibilities of doing things differently than we did in the past. But again, I don't know. Case that is a possibility, what are people's, opinion? They like the mulch, they like pine straw. Okay, thank you. Yes, hold on, we got a question. Yes.
The mulch is very nice. Number one, it washes away. Everybody's noticed that. And number two, it causes something called artillery fungus, that is those little black spots on your house. That comes from wet mulch.
Okay.
Pine straw doesn't do
What?
that.
It doesn't do it. Okay, so the comment was mulch washes away and it causes artillery fungus. That when you see those little black spots on your car that you can't get off on your side of your house, that's from the mulch. Okay, next I'd like to discuss security. Joe, you want to handle this?
thanks a lot for helping out with the new G4S service. They are getting great comments on from them and how they're not letting people in, and we're going to run into a few little hiccups here and there because we're changing to another computer system. That won't have anything affect to this. That'll make it a little easier for everybody to get in and out. So I want to make sure that we were clear on that. There's two, Rich and his Access Control Committee been bouncing this around for a little while now. We still don't know where to go, but if we need to make cutbacks, there's a couple we can do. We've done a survey and found out that about 5 cars a week end up coming in between the gates. Most of the time we're Uber or taxis, somebody's getting a late flight coming in. They have their passes at the house. So they have this system, and I see it a lot in my business going into these new neighborhoods. It's a kiosk. What it does is you get assigned a number. It can't go anywhere else. It's only to you. You punch in that number. It rings on your cell phone. You push a button on your cell phone. It opens the gates. That's it. Nobody can get that number. It doesn't work any other way. It's as simple as that. A lot of neighborhoods are going that way. Not saying that we're going to do it. It's just a way that we can cut back if we need to cut back. The other option was reducing the hours. You get that next slide? Reducing the hours of the rover from 56 hours to 28 hours. Both of these two savings of doing that, it's going to come up to about a $65,000 a year savings if we want to do that. The kiosk is a one-time fee, and it works that way. It's totally going to be whatever you guys want to do with it, how it wants to work. But this is just a way that we can cut back if we need to cut back. Sir, go ahead. Well, yeah,
Can you repeat that for everyone, Cal?
His question was, do we get any feedback of what the rover does on a daily basis? Yes, we do. Every week, myself and Rich and the general manager get a report of incidents that have occurred. We've had people from jumping on the bridges, jumping over the pools, and throughout other things. We had a crash. So yes, we do get a daily report, and it's quite extensive. Plus, they have stages they have to go around throughout the neighborhood and tag so that we know where they are at all times, and we get it that way. But again, this is just suggestions. This is nothing in stone. Go ahead, Carol.
Using the kiosk, I don't think there's anything from stopping people giving out their number.
You can't.
If you
It goes to your phone.
Okay, but if I'm expecting somebody and I don't want to go down and let them in, I give them my number, they press
No.
it.
It goes into there's a box out front. You put in a number,
Right.
it rings to your cell phone, no matter where you are.
But if I'm in my house and it rings to my cell phone and then I okay it, that lets them in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So what is to stop people from giving out that number?
Because it's going to ring to your phone. You don't have to let them in. You have to still, there's two parts. You still have to do your part to open the gate.
And it's only one time.
It's only one time?
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
do we know how much it costs, that additional shift that you're trying to eliminate?
Around 40,000.
Oh, it's up there.
$40,000 from
It's up there.
where?
Yeah, about 32,000. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, $32,000.
That's
For
half a
year?
shift.
A year.
That's the rover. You have to go back one. I think it's more than that. Yeah, let's say it's around 40 grand.
A year. Yes. I personally think that it will take down the quality of the community if you put what you're thinking.
Again, it's just whatever you guys want. We're just trying to explain to you where cutbacks could be made if we needed to make them. That's all it is.
But that's security, and that's very important for all of us.
Well, the rover leaves at 11.
Good.
He stops roving at 11.
He does.
Yes.
Okay, but at least we'll have somebody manning the gate to replace in case there is any incident in the community, because technically there is nobody, no rover and no gatekeeper.
But he doesn't leave the gatehouse anyway.
I understand that, but at least you can call the gate if you have an emergency.
Okay, well, why you brought that up, let's just get this out right now. If you have an emergency, do not call the gatehouse, call 911. They have no powers, they have no anything. You're killing yourself with time if you're doing that. You need to immediately just call 911 and get that rolling. Get Jim.
Joe, my question is simple. How many of the upscale communities in the greater Naples area have a kiosk in the front gate? The answer is less than 11%. So if it's such a great cost savings, why don't all the other communities think it's a good idea?
If you could send me that survey you have, I'll
get
come
it.
back with an answer on that.
I mean, to me, you give up that person at the gate. Yes, you call 911, but it still helps to call that gate, because now we have someone that works for us, that's informed what's going on, can guide the response people coming into our community.
That's fine,
know
Jim.
what's happening.
It's just a suggestion.
I know it's a
But I don't want you to call the gate if there's an emergency. I want you to call 911.
You didn't hear what I just said. I said, of course you call 911,
Yeah.
but you call the gate as well. I've been in this business for a lot of years. I helped redo the entire Pentagon from security. Kiosks are a very, very bad
If you could
idea.
give me that survey, that'd be great, and I can disseminate it throughout the neighborhood. That'd be wonderful. Yes, sir.
Are the incidents that the rovers report registered or put on some type of a document? And my next question is, how many incidents per week would you say on average the rovers report?
Well, incidents are very low. It's contact on the bases that he has to check are very high. He has so many places he has to hit within a certain timeline. But the incidents are very low, probably 3%. They get higher when spring break comes. They get higher this time of year.
But is this reported anywhere?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, they make
Record of
report.
it?
They make separate reports as well, and it goes to the GM and to Rich and myself.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Then go to GM.
Not from G4S.
Like, Adam gets them, and but we're changing the whole system so everybody will be able to see it.
Joe?
Go ahead, she wins.
I think it would be a good idea when we do have things that are community, like a break-in of a car, that the residents are notified, rather than to word it down as they're afraid of someone in the community. I think it helps all of us to be more aware.
That's fine.
Diligent.
Her question is to send out an e-blast if we have any type of incidents, car break-in, house break-ins, any of that nature, just to get everybody on alert. And that's a great suggestion. And that's easy to do, and it doesn't cost us anything to do it.
Joe, yes, question. Assuming we do go, or hypothetically, if we do go to the gate attendant closure at night,
Kiosk.
and there is an emergency, how will the emergency vehicle get in?
All, thanks to Rich, all gates have a transponder that opens all the gates.
Okay.
Every gate we have, emergency opens. Rich had that installed about a year ago.
Okay, great.
And it's been tested quite often.
I understand we have a drone. How's that utilized?
Well, it's for seeing the tops of roofs, stuff that we can't see, shoreline stuff, just stuff that's going on, activities that is used, not by the security, but to see where we need to work on throughout the area. It wasn't expensive little thing, but it's more to speed up things to get
I
repaired.
didn't realize you had. What's the average?
Rotor works 3 to 11 unless we change his hours. And we do change them. If we have a large wedding or something, we'll have those hours changed to just to help out in case there's any issue. But again, these are just suggestions. We'll have your feedback, and yeah, we'll just go from there. There's nothing in stone.
Joe?
Yeah, Brian.
Since it's a discussion session, why couldn't we have a kiosk and for those 56 hours a week, have someone as a roper between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., which, particularly considering what may happen with Limestone and the additional traffic may get attracted there, and other people will know that we have an accessible area, that would seem to be quite reasonable. And as a second portion to that, and Cheryl, you probably been thinking about how I would ever work this into another discussion. That's going to be roughly $60,000 a year for someone to be a rover during that time period. What is the amount that we are currently paying to subsidize the tennis pro? Annually.
What do you say?
What do we subsidize on the
Guard
tennis pro?
supports 100% of the community. The tennis pro supports what?
We don't disclose what any individual's compensation is. Tennis is an amenity. Brian told me before the meeting, he brought it up every meeting, and I guess he wasn't going to leave one out because I haven't been for those.
Last year and the year before,
What?
3 years prior.
Okay. So, any,
The question about tenancy, the question is about the value of an individual rover overnight, particularly given the potential issues we have in Lockton. Thank you, Jerry.
okay. Again, what Joe said is we are not advocating for or against this. None of these items have been included in the budget. The budget is an increase of almost 9%. And we wanted to at least hear from the community of possible ways that we could maybe lower that assessment increase. And so when you look at them all, okay, we get the potential. Here, we heard this, people want mulch. What do people think about, you know, you gave a resounding response on the mulch. What's your response on the data cutting back anything related to security? Do you favor it or not a favorite? Okay, that's all we want to know. It's already budgeted to keep, okay? We're not adding any money. It's already there. That's all we wanted to know. Okay.
Sure.
Yes?
So how do you determine that? Is it going to be open to a vote or just...
No, it's not a vote. To do a formal vote, we have to send out 12,000 bucks. We're just getting feedback. It's a board decision of what we're going to do.
The noise you got here.
Yeah, this is the noise. We realize it could be biased noise as well. Okay? Yes, sir.
Sir, I would suggest that maybe you put a survey on the website like you did for the golf event. Everybody has a golf tournament here, put it up on the website and people voted.
Yeah, I've gotten feedback on that. People were upset because that was put on the website. The majority said go ahead, and we didn't go ahead with it. So I said, don't bother asking. Don't bother asking if you're not going to listen to the majority. Excuse, sorry, I can't hear him. Say it again.
That would be a way to get an idea about how the community feels about these kind of things. You're asking a small group of people here out of 5,000 people who live here.
Okay, there's only 900 doors here, okay? Yes, there is a lot more, and we want to keep a balance. We don't necessarily want a line item vote on everything in the budget. We put a few things out there to possibly have some cutbacks if people had a lot of angst about the increase. We wanted to get the people here, there's a lot of people here, how they feel. Hopefully it's representative, but we do have to move along with the process, okay? Okay, so sounds like everyone wants, not everyone, I should never use that term, but the majority is in favor of keeping the budget the way it is. Okay. Let's move to the next topic, which I know there won't be much discussion, and that's the Beach Club. How are we doing on the Beach Club? The Beach Club for 2018 versus the budget, we already talked about when we did the P&L. It's going to do slightly worse than the budget, but again, it's all because of the labor. I told you we had about a $100,000 error in the budget. So this is really a faulty number to compare to. It's better than 2017. So we're happy with what the Beach Club has accomplished. If we jump to the plan for 2019, again, we expect to go over to $1 million in revenue. Okay, that's a bad number, and that's a bad number, so ignore it. Cost of sales is 45.35 is the target we have for our food and beverage team. Gives us a weighted food and beverage cost of 41%, which will match this year's number. And we are increasing labor for food and beverage, as I indicated. We are increasing staffing, and I can't tell you how many people. We have people that work 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 40 hours a week. It's adding hours during the busy season to make sure people don't wait as long as they have been waiting for food when they order it. It's better service. There's also wage pressure in the Naples area, Collier County, for the people that work in food and beverage. So all of that taken into account, this is where we are in food and beverage. And so I hope we don't deteriorate, but that's what we believe the number will be. And again, I will say this time and time again, it is an amenity. It is an amenity that we are spending $170,000 on to have, just like any other amenity we have. And I would ask you to think about it this way, in terms of this amenity. That 170,000 represents about 3% of our budget. We just pick on this one because it has a top line called revenue. I could do the same sheet for landscaping, and it would say 0 revenue, and it costs us $1.5 million, and that's a 30% of our total fees. Okay, we could do the same thing for security. We could do the same thing for tennis. I shouldn't have said that, Brian, I'm sorry. We could do the same... Okay. We could do the same thing for lifestyle. They all cost us 1%. That's why we spend $5 million in dues. It costs to have all these amenities. We just put a microscope on this one because it has a top line where it's the only one we collect something to defray it to some degree. But I want to share a couple of things with you. I know this is hard to read. My Excel skills or PowerPoint skills aren't there. I could make it brighter. But our friends at First Service Residential gave us some data of what Florida statewide for what's called CIRA, Common Interest Realty Associations, which that's what we are, Matt? Yes. Here's what the numbers are for the state of Florida and Southwest Ceres, which is our region. And so if you look at the quarry, it's comparing the cost of food sold for all the Ceres were 45.3%, ours is 45%. 1 minus that number is the gross profit, so it doesn't add any information. Beverages, cost of beverages sold, 33, we're 36. Our plan next year is to be 35. You combine them, the gross profit combined is 58.5%, ours is 59%. Now you look into departmental expenses. They broke it out, salaries and wages, net and gratuities, payroll taxes, employee benefits. So you add those two up and it's 81.6%. Yes, we pay labor, ours is 74%. You come down to the bottom line, and I excluded all other because we don't capture that. I'm not sure how different that would be, because you could argue what's in all other. But if I take that out, they lose 23.1%. We're losing 15, 16%. So we could constantly talk about how food and beverage is, but I can assure you, I've spoken to many people about this. We get industry data. No community, no CIRA makes money on food and beverage. Bob is here from the golf club. I hate to, I talked to him about it. It's the same situation at the golf club. We have a general manager of another community that lives in the quarry. I asked him what happens in that community. He says we lose a lot of money. So I just wanted to share what we're trying to responsibly do is give targets and metrics and goals to the people that run this so we perform equal to or better than the expectation of what everyone is doing. That's the way we try to run the food and beverage, and I hope that makes sense. Okay. That's just in case you still have questions. Because this was me. This was the first question I asked. I was the new person on the finance committee. I didn't make a fortune owning a restaurant. But these are the questions you ask. That's a general question in that report. It's not our community, it's any community. So I want you to be aware of that. Because we all have those questions. Give me a second to read it.
Better if you read it for a fact.
What? What was that?
You read it.
Oh, no, I think we're there. Thanks. Okay, I was just postponing getting to special assessments. Okay, we need to fund 3 critical activities that are out of the norm. First, we have to fund to complete the beach club repairs, the associated legal and arbitration fees. We have the Pulte lawsuit, and we are funding a portion of the effort to maintain the privacy of Limestone Trail. We're going to get into these specifically. The total of those 3 are $630,000, which will result in $700 per door special assessment that will be passed by the HOA board in our next meeting in November, and payment will be due January 1st. So that's where we're going with that. The first one is the Irma, where we are. Right after Irma, we came up with a quick estimate of what we thought we'd spend. We said $950,000. We spent $1.2 million as of now, And we have a few things trickling in. We may get to $1.5 million, $1.1 million, but that's basically it. We're done with that portion. What we haven't gotten to is repairing of the roofs. And that's the biggest thing. We submitted claims for $530,000. What has been approved by the insurance company so far is $130,000. And so we have additional exposure of $400,000, and there could be arbitration or mediation fees that go along with that. So what we are doing is we plan on proceeding with the necessary roof repairs as soon as allowable. I'm sure no one likes to see that top on that roof. We can't do that until we get signed off by all the insurance company, that all their engineers examined it, they have all the information they need. But soon as, and that's, what, 5 or 10 days away? Someone said that was pretty close.
Within a week.
What, a week? About a week away. We want to fix that. Doesn't mean you'll see activity in a week, because you know how long it takes to get it actually to happen. But we need to fund that. Hold on a second, please. Now, we will pursue getting all of that because we feel, our engineers feel, our insurance committee feel that we ought to do that. In talking with our attorneys, we are no different than most communities, that all the insurance companies are postponing payment as long as they can to protect their cash flow, hoping communities will either negotiate for X% on the dollars or just, they'd rather spend it next year than this year. So we are working with our attorneys and our insurance committee because we feel we have the ammunition to get this back, and it's going to take some time. But during that time, we need to fix that roof. It's leaking, and we need to get it done, so we have to upfront the money. Yes, sir?
What is the extent of the damage? Nobody ever said any information.
What was the extent of the damage? Oh, we believe we have to replace all the tiles on the roof that were greater than the state requirement of 25% have lift. We're also getting leaking in the roof in the fitness center, and so we have some significant exposure there.
One behind you. If we were to get the money back from the insurance companies after our hard work with our lawyers, would then the residents be refunded or have the future dues reduced by that amount of $49?
One of those, yes. Yes, we would have to decide what we do with that. Absolutely.
No, future assessment. I think that was coming.
Oh, we can frame future assessment. I'll say that. Okay, the question, everyone hear the question when we, yes, sir.
The lawsuit against Bumpy, how much are we suing them for?
Okay, Cheryl's going to talk about that in a moment, so can we hold off on that? We're going to take one of these at a time. Anything about the roof or insurance, or we could go on to the next topic? Yes, sir.
Can you use your reserve funds for roofs for this project or not?
No, we couldn't do that. We have the reserve fund in the roof is set to replace it currently in the year 2028. That would be, what will happen when we do it, they'll move that back another 10 years. And